issues and questions on ethics in the context of conducting research is understood best when you have a specific examples of research in your mind. So therefore, I'm providing a link to some important studies that may help you understand the issue of ethics. These are ASH study on conformity, Milgram study on obedience, and the Zimbaldo prison experiment. So before you study these slides in this section, please visit these sites to get basic understanding of these three studies so that what may be the issues about ethics that you need to consider when conducting psychological research. Obviously, in discussing ethics in research, we need to ask a question about what is ethics, which is a very complicated issue and that's beyond of my expertise. In order to fully understand this complicated issue, probably you need to take a philosophy course on ethics. So right now, we talk about ethics from something called consequentialist or utilitarian perspective. This means basically the benefit of research should outweigh the cost. So in other words, the research is considered to be ethical when the benefit of research outweigh the cost involved in the research. Obviously, in order for one to conduct research, there should be some benefit. Okay, so there are some benefit that's sort of legitimate and well understood, such as advances in scientific knowledge concerning the content of the knowledge and also methodological of the advances, and also there can be a discovering practical solution to some specific health and social problems, such as discovery of vaccine for some major illness such as COVID-19. But in addition to these, researches or scientific researches are conducted by individual, which is actually the people. So therefore, there is a benefit of research that has a specific bearing onto researchers as a people, which is recognition, fame, career security, and sometimes financial benefit. Okay, so we need to consider all these benefits when you think about ethics of research and how and why it's difficult to think about whether or not research is ethical from only one perspective. In the previous slide, we talked about benefit of research. Now we need to talk about risks of psychological research. So obviously, research can involve physical harm and discomfort, but this is relatively rare in psychological research. In psychological research, on the other hand, psychological harm and stress may be more common, such as anxiety, damage to self-esteem caused by negative feedback, and also discomfort involved in interview regarding traumatic event, or as you can see in Milgram study that you observed, there may be anxiety, stress of making difficult decisions. And finally, also important is the consideration of the loss of privacy and confidentiality. Potential risk of personal information may be leaked, and public exposure of disability or some specific personality or psychological condition that you don't want to be known to the public, that may be actually leaked. There is always the risk of these sorts, and these are the risks that you need to consider. So in the previous So in slide number 6, we started discussing who can make the sound decision of whether or not research is ethical based on the benefit and cost analysis. And the key idea is whether or not a researcher can make a sound decision by rationally and neutrally considering the risk and benefit. Uh, we question this. The reason why is researchers, I want you to recall, researchers are the one who enjoys the major benefit, and they are the one who do not, they are not the one who's going to bear the cost. Therefore, it's extremely difficult for researchers to make a sound decisions. Researchers are the one who wants to do the research. They often underestimate the cost and they often overestimate the benefit. So then there has to be some mechanism, systematic mechanism that makes it possible for somebody to make more sound decision about whether or not the research is ethical. IRB is a shorthand or abbreviation of Institutional Review Board. The federal regulation says any research institution that receives federal funding needs to have an independent agency within the institution to overlook and review the research conducted in the institution. So that we already talked about, researcher himself or herself cannot make objective and fair decision whether or not a research is ethical. So the IRB is the one who is going to evaluate whether or not the research activity is ethical. This is possible by IRB because this is an independent body of the people, group of people. Informed consent is a document, either electronic or the paper, hard copy document, which inform research participants about purpose of the study and a brief description of the procedure. And this also needs to disclose and kind of explain the potential risk and benefit of the study and any compensation, confidentiality, and other kinds of attributes of the research so that researcher or participants can make the informed decision of whether to participate in the research. Consenting is an important. Often psychological research, its goal requires that participants are not informed about the purpose of the research. Milgram study and Ash's conformity studies are both examples of that. In Milgram study, for example, participants thought that this is a learning experiment, when in fact the goal of the study is to see the people's willingness to give an electric shock. Okay, so what you need to consider is whether or not deception is ethical or justifiable. And IRB especially pay attention to whether or not deception is really needed in the study. Debriefing is a very important step or stage in the research in terms of ethical perspective. Because especially this is true when the deception is involved. So in the Milgram study, it was really important that participants were fully informed after the experiment. They actually did not do electric shock. And also, it's important they know that it's not theirs, the people who, even when they are willing to give an electric shock, it's not, doesn't mean that they are crazy. It's the power of the situations and other people behave in a similar way and so on and so. And so the believing is a very important step in research to make it ethical, to remove the stress or minimize the stress and harm and risk from participants.